My name is Alvarado. This is my presentation regarding the legacy admissions bans, legacy admissions. Um, Essentially, what this presentation is all about is discussing the California law banning legacy admissions at private, nonprofit universities alike to those of Stanford and USC. So legacy admissions have been a long-standing practice where universities consider if an applicant has family ties to alumni or donors. This law, effective September, prohibits that practice for his future applicants. Let's explore the implications of this change. So as you can see, and the slide provided below, all of the overview of the presentation will be covered as well as the impact. So for our agenda, for today's presentation, we'll start with an overview of legacy admissions, then move into the pros and cons of banning them. And finally, I will conclude with my overall assessment of this policy. So what is legacy admissions? Legacy admissions give preference to applicants who have family members, usually parents or grandparents who attend the university or donated to that university. This practice has been criticized for favoring wealthier families and perpetuating inequalities in college admissions. I will explain the history of legacy admissions and how this practice became common in elite universities. So, legacy admissions started in the early 20th century as a way to maintain alumnus and their loyalty to certain campuses and certain institutions, but also securing those donations from those families. So over time, this turned into a way too big advantage to wealthy families, which did raise ethical concerns. Today, many argue that legacy admissions undermine merit-based admissions and social mobility. So moving on to our next slide. Now that we know what legacy admissions are and some background, why don't we go ahead and look at some arguments supporting the ban. So one main reason to ban legacy admissions is fairness. By removing legacy preferences, universities can promote equal opportunity for all applicants based on merit rather than family connections. This change can help increase diversity and that area inclusion on campus by reducing bias toward affluent or well-connected families. Studies have shown that legacy admissions disproportionately benefit white and wealthy students. While underrepresented minorities often face greater barriers, removing legacy preferences can help reduce those disparities. So this all aligns with the principles of meritocracy, but also equal access. So the percentages below shown, 35% increase in diversity, 40% reduction in bias, as well as a 50% equity improvement. And of course, the greater percentage being that merit-based admission. But why don't we go ahead and let's examine some specific benefits that come along with banning legacy admissions. Research shows that removing legacy preferences helps universities admit more students from underrepresented backgrounds. This can lead to a more diverse student body and better representation of different socioeconomic groups. It also aligns with social justice goals by leveling the playing field for applicants. For example, a study of university that reduced legacy preferences found increases in admission rates for first-gen college students. Additionally, removing legacy admissions can improve the campus climate by fostering a more inclusive community. So as you guys can see, well, why don't we go ahead and slide over to the next slide, where there are also concerns about the negatives about essentially banning the effects of banning, which should be considered. So opponents argue that legacy admissions help maintain strong alumnus relationship and donor contributions. These donations often fund scholarships, facilities, and programs. Removing legacy preferences might reduce alumni engagement and financial support, which all could impact university resources. Critics, however, claim that loss of legacy admissions could lead to decreased donations, which might force universities to cut programs or raise tuition. Alumni may feel less connected if their family ties are no longer valued in admissions, which all creates a big domino effect. Let's look at deeper into potential negative impacts. So financially speaking, universities could face challenges if donors giving, well, they start giving decreases. This might lead to fewer resources for students and faculty, or even higher tuition costs. Additionally, some worry that the ban could disrupt enrollment patterns and reduce the sense of tradition and community linked to legacy admissions. It is also possible that universities will seek new ways to engage donors, but this could take time to develop and might not fully replace legacy-based donations. The long-term effects on university culture and finances are very uncertain. So to summarize, let's review the pros and cons side by side. As we see here, the ban promotes fairness and diversity, but it also risks community and also that those financial challenges for those universities. Balancing these outcomes will be key to the law's success. It is also important to weigh in how these pros and cons affect not only universities, but also those students, their families, and essentially society as a whole. Finally, here is my conclusion on this important policy change. In conclusion, banning legacy admissions is a significant step forward, a fair and more equitable admissions process. While there are valid concerns about funding and tradition, the potential to increase diversity and access to higher education outweighs these challenges. This law could set a precedent for other states and institutions. This change reflects evolving societal values about fairness and opportunity in education, and it could help create a more inclusive future for all students, overall shaping just that future. And these are my three references. The National Center for Education,